All right, just before we dive into question 18, I like question 18 because it gets you to practice a lot of things with surds. I'd like to remind you, firstly, of our two triangles. 30, 1, 2, root 3, 60, and 45, 1, 1, root 2. Now, this means sine 30, a half, cos 30, root 3 on 2, tan 30, 1 on root 3. Sine 60, root 3 on 2. Notice how it just swaps with cos. Cos 60, half, tan 60, turn it upside down, it's root 3 on 1, which is root 3. Sine 45, 1 on root 2. Cos 45, 1 on root 2, if you can draw a square root, which I apparently cannot. Tan 45, 1 on 1. One tip with these, if you figure out that that root 3 on 2 is, if you put it in your calculator, I'd like you to do that now, root 3 on 2, if you do it properly, which I just did not, that should come out as 0.66, yeah? 0.866, sorry. If you ever get stuck with one of these, just chuck it in your calculator. If it comes out as 0.866, it's root 3 on 2. The other one, important ones to know, 1 on root 3. That's 0.577. And just root 3 on 1. $1.73. And the other important one, 1 on root 2, 0.707. So if you manage, this is actually how I learned. If you manage to remember these well enough, you don't actually need to stress about memorizing your triangles, figuring what's what. You just chuck it in your calculator and you'll know if you chuck it in your calculator, because if you put sine 330 in your calculator, that's going to come out as negative 0.5, so that'll tell you straight away. I'm going to get rid of that because that's kind of a cheating way to do it, but it's a good one for you to keep in mind. If you're struggling with these or if they're taking you a long time, chuck them in your calculator, see what you get. So we've got sine 330, cos 150, minus cos 390, sine 390, and we're going to show that it comes out as 0. Now, sine 330, if you can think straight away which quadrant it's in, it's the fourth one, it's negative. Or if you chuck it in your calculator, that should come out as negative. And it'll just be negative sine 30. Cos 150, SATC, so that's going to be negative cos 30. Take cos 390, we're going back around into the first quadrant, so all of them are positive. So positive cos 30 times sine 390, positive sine 30. So this is actually positive sine 30, negative sine 30 times negative cos 30. Well, that comes around as positive sine 30 cos 30. And take positive times a positive, so we're taking cos 30 sine 30. It does in fact equal 0. They might want you to go a bit further, although you shouldn't. So that's a half times cos 30 root 3 on 2. Take root 3 on 2 times a half. It does equal 0. Yeah, this is how I'd probably present that question. All right. B, sine 420, cos 405, sorry, not cos 45, plus cos 420 sine 405. Now, sine 420, if we do 420 take 360, that's 60, so that's just sine 60. If we do 405 take 360, that's cos 45, plus 420 take 360 was 60, cos 60 sine 45. These are all already in the first quadrant. They're all less than 90. We're all fine. So sine 60, root 3 on 2. Cos 45, 1 on root 2. Plus cos 60, which was 1 on 2. Sine 45, 1 on root 2. Now, we're going to just end up playing with this, and we're going to end up with that, hopefully. So, this gives us root 3 on, times 1 is root 3, on 2 root 2 plus 1 on 2 root 2. Oh, yeah, that is root 3 plus 1 on 2 root 2. Cool. Question C. We've got sine 135, take cos 120, over sine 135 plus cos 120. Now, sine 135 is the same as positive sine 45. We're subtracting negative cos 60. And it's over positive sine 45 plus negative cos 60. Okay, so sine 45 was 1 on root 2 plus, because minus minus plus, cos 60, which was 1 on 2, over 1 on root 2, take 1 on 2. Now I'm just going to rewrite this as 1 on root 2 plus 1 on 2 divided by 1 on root 2 take 1 on 2. We can't do our normal trick. We can't just chuck the bottom of the thing on the bottom because there's a minus in there. Okay, so we're going to have to cross multiply. So remember with cross multiply, you do that one times that one times that one. So we've got 1 times 2 plus root 2 times 1 over, and then you just multiply the bottoms, 2 root 2, divided by, on this side, we're going to get the same, but there's going to be a minus, 2 minus root 2 over 2 root 2. Now don't forget, dividing by a fraction, keep flip change. So we've got 2 plus root 2 over 2 root 2 times 2 root 2 over 2 minus root 2. These cancel out, and we end up with 2 plus root 2 over 2 minus root 2. Is that what we wanted? No. That's really annoying. Why isn't that what I wanted? 3 plus 2 root 2. How? Maybe I need to rationalize. So don't forget, we've got 2 plus root 2. And every time we do these, we do 2 minus root 2. We're timesing it by the changing the sign of the bottom. So 2 plus root 2, 2 plus root 2. So that gives me 2 plus root 2. That's actually squared now. Over 4 minus 2 times 2 is 4, minus root 2 times root 2 is 2, which gives me 2 squared plus 2 times root 2 plus root 2 squared over 2, which gives me 4 plus 4 root 2 plus 2. Ooh, okay, I see how this is going to happen. Which gives me 6 plus 4 root 2 over 2, which gives me 3 plus 2 root 2. Ah, okay. Gosh, that was a pain question. Total pain. Okay, what's our next question? I'm going to copy it. Okay, sine 150 is the same as positive sine 30. Cos 270. Ooh, now don't forget this is going straight down. I think it came out as -1. Let's do it on a calculator. Cos 270, 0. Came out as 0. Plus tan 315. Now SATC, that's going to be negative tan 45. That's squared. We're going to try and show that it comes out as sine 135 squared. Now sine 135 was the same as positive sine 45, and that's squared, times cos 225 SATC, so that's negative cos 45 squared. Okay. Sine, so this left thing on the left hand side is the same as sine 30 take tan 45. And we're trying to show that that comes out as the same as sine 45 squared times negative cos 45 squared, yeah? Sine 30 was 1 on 2. Take tan 45 was 1. Sine 45, 1 on root 2. Cos 45, 1 on root 2. Okay, 1 on 2, a half take 1 gives me negative 1/2. And then this is, if we square it, top squared, bottom squared, 1 on 2 times 1 on 2. So yeah, this gives me a quarter and this gives me a quarter. Okay, and finally E. And that's what you do when you've got two things, like one thing on the left, one thing on the right, and you've got to make them equal each other. And finally E. Oh gosh, this does not look pretty. They've saved the best till last. Okay. Sine 120. SATC, it's going to be the same as positive sine 60. Tan 300, SATC, negative tan 60, minus cos 240, SATC, negative cos 60, cot, so 1 over tan, SATC, so this is going to be negative tan 45. We're going to show that it equals tan 240 negative tan 60 squared minus cosec 1 on sine, and this is going to be negative sine 30 squared. Okay. Whew, this is going to be cool. Sine 60 was the same as root 3 on 2. We're doing it over negative tan 60. And tan 60 was just root 3, wasn't it? Yep. We've got minus. Negative cos 60 was negative 1/2 over 1 on tan 45 was 1. Okay. Tan 60, root 3 on 1, was it? Tan 60? Yeah, root 3. So we've got minus root 3 squared minus 1 on minus sine 30 was 1/2 squared. Okay. Now, root 3 on 2 divided by root 3. So that's root 3 on 2 divided by negative root 3 minus 1/2, because it's divided by negative 1. It's negative 1/2 divided by negative 1, so it's minus a half. Negative root 3 squared is 3. And 1 on negative a half is negative 2 squared, so we're taking away 4. You can do that in your calculator, by the way. 1 on negative 1 on 2 squared, 4. Okay. Now, root 3 over 2 times negative 1 on root 3 minus a half. This comes out as negative 1. Okay. These cancel out, so we do get negative 1 on 2, take 1 on 2. And yes, negative a half, take a half is negative 1. And that's the end of that question. I think that's the last one for this exercise. Well done on making it through.